What hurt the most was watching her prepare for a night meant for someone else. She slipped into seductive lingerie and stockings, then lay on our bed, looking pleased with herself. I stood by as she spent ages meticulously applying makeup and perfecting her hair, occasionally adjusting her outfit. Then my wife put on a beautiful dress I had never seen before. Next came the high heels, and her entire outfit was unfamiliar to me. I felt betrayal, jealousy, and anger well up deep inside me. She was doing all this for Mark Diamond, her boss, not for me. She was making herself desirable and attractive for another man, outside of our marriage, while I was working hard to give her a good life and family. It was all incomprehensible. Our sex life was amazing. Jessica had always been attentive and never hid anything. She always made me feel loved, so there was no reason not to trust her. After 20 years of marriage, I knew her and never thought she could betray our marriage, except for that one evening a month ago at her company dinner, when her boss, Mark Diamond, the managing partner of the law firm, paid Jessica more attention than I was comfortable with. And there was the smirk I caught when he looked at me after dancing with my wife, which gave me a hint. For some reason, I had a bad feeling that nagged at me, and it got much worse when I mentioned it to Jessica the next day. The way she defended him and tried to make me feel like I was overreacting only confirmed my suspicions. Too many late meetings and missed lunches suddenly registered as red flags, and I knew I had to deal with this immediately. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Jessica is Mark's personal assistant. Mark is the managing partner of a prestigious law firm. He's one of those guys who loves to flaunt his success with expensive cars, jewelry, a luxurious lifestyle, and his young wife, Stella. She's a 30-year-old, extremely attractive woman he traded his ex-wife of 20 years for. Mark likes to joke at the expense of others, and I remember one of our outings when he mocked my job. You see, I sell screws and fasteners to large retail chains. It's not a glamorous job, but I earned over $200,000 a year, which provided a good life for my family. I gave Jessica everything she wanted and managed to pay for our daughter Sarah's college education. She's currently in her second year. We also live in a nice community with good friends and a comfortable lifestyle. Sure, I wasn't a power broker or making $1 million a year like Mark, but we were happy. At least I thought we were. Anyway, that night when he decided to mock my job in front of my wife and others, I was furious, not just because he was an arrogant jerk, but because of how my wife defended him after I got upset about being humiliated in front of her and everyone else. So, Johnny, how's it going with nuts and bolts? I bet you get screwed a lot. Ha ha ha. Must be fun working with building materials every day. When I saw Jessica laughing, my blood boiled, and I walked away without saying a word. To her credit, Jessica came over and asked me what was wrong. When I told her, she tried to brush it off. Oh, baby, he's just joking. He likes to have fun. You shouldn't take everything so personally. Come with me, he's really a good guy. Against my better judgment, I stayed at the dinner until the end of the evening. Looking back, I realized I should have seen the signs. But now I understand that I may have missed some red flags. Damn it, I'm not a fool, and I wouldn't have stayed quiet. I can understand why others might be drawn to Mark. He's an alpha, big, strong, handsome, a wealthy partner at the firm, the kind of man everyone wants to be around. And Jessica was his closest ally at the firm, his valuable and trusted right hand. Everything fit together perfectly. It didn't matter that he had a younger, more attractive wife. For a man like Mark, he wanted it all. And going after someone else's wife was definitely on his list. Over the next week, I moved quickly to determine whether I was losing my mind or if my intuition was correct. After 6 audio recording devices and 5 video cameras arrived, I began implementing my plan of action. The first video camera was installed in the smoke detector on the ceiling of our bedroom. The next 2 cameras were placed at different angles in the bedroom to capture a full view. The remaining ones I installed in the master bathroom and the living room. All the video cameras had live streaming capabilities, recorded up to 8K resolution, and were wirelessly connected to a dedicated computer I set up in the attic, all controlled remotely via a phone app. In addition to video, the audio devices were unique. One audio device was concealed inside a pen, which I placed next to the kitchen phone. Another I discreetly placed in her car. I hid other standard recording devices in her 3 favorite handbags and one behind our bed. With this setup, I should be able to capture at least 90% of her conversations and any activity in the house. I had a bad feeling about the upcoming week as I was about to leave on a business trip. As always, Jessica was loving and turned my world upside down in bed. Just like every time I went on a trip, she always started with plenty of kisses and sweet talk, telling me how much she loved me and wanted me. Her closeness and love were something I always cherished, and she never let me down. After many sweet kisses, she began to tease me with her playful touch and affectionate gestures. Her closeness and passion always left me feeling deeply connected to her. That night, she made me feel truly desired, her every move filled with love and care. As we shared an intimate moment, she looked at me with tears in her eyes, smiling and said, "I love you too, baby. You're amazing, and I'll love you forever." Left by her words, I held her close as we expressed our love for each other. It was an incredible night, one that made me feel more in love with her than ever. In that moment, I was convinced she could never be unfaithful, and I almost abandoned my plan to monitor her. Fortunately, I left everything as it was and set off on my trip, which would last 2 nights this week. I wanted to give her enough time in case anything happened. We kissed goodbye, and at 6 p.m., I was on the road for a 3-hour drive to the hotel. The drive gave me time to reflect on the past 6 months, trying to find something else to justify my suspicions. But aside from 2 incidents involving her boss, that smirk, and his attempt to humiliate me, nothing had changed, and a smile crossed my face as I realized I was acting foolish and paranoid. When I finally arrived at the hotel, I checked into my room and opened my laptop, relaxing on the king-size bed. It only took a few minutes to check my emails for any work messages, and then I clicked the link to the server on my attic computer to review the last 3 hours of footage. I knew there wouldn't be anything to see, but I needed to test the remote access system. I fast-forwarded the video at 3x speed until I saw my wife in the bedroom, then set it back to normal speed to enjoy watching my beautiful wife as she made a phone call. What I didn't expect was a phone conversation with Mark an hour after I had left. The video camera picked up the audio as I watched her lying on the bed, speaking while talking to her boss. I could only hear her side of the conversation as I watched and listened to the recording. Her conversation with Mark. "Hi, darling, he's gone, and I'm all alone. Yes, this time it's 2 nights. When can you come over? Won't your wife ask where you're going? Oh my God. That's great. Can you spend the night with me? I really want to wake up next to you. Oh yes, of course. I'm all yours, baby. So what time will you be here? Okay, see you soon. I love you, baby." I sat there in shock. We had just shared the most passionate lovemaking. Now, an hour later, she's inviting him over to spend the night. Who was this woman? How could she claim to love me so deeply and betray me moments later? Was he coming over tonight? Here's how it all started. For the next hour, I watched as my loving wife prepared to meet her lover. Watching her take a shower, put on attractive lingerie, high heels, and makeup after spending 30 minutes fixing her hair was an incredibly painful sight. I had always known she was a sensual being, and when she dressed like that, she was stunning. The problem was, she never dressed like that for me. Jealousy boiled in my blood as I realized she was doing all this for Mark, not for her loyal husband. It was too hard for me to believe. Was Mark really coming over tonight, or was this all a misunderstanding? That last question was answered a few minutes later when the doorbell rang, and I saw Mark walk into my house and kiss Jessica deeply, right in front of the camera, in real time. I captured their kiss in close-up, and for the first time that night, I felt sick. "Wow, baby, you look stunning in that dress. I can't wait to rip it off your beautiful body and spend the night with you," he said, eyeing Jessica with a wide smile. The exchange of words between them drove me mad, but that anger turned into unbearable pain when I saw her take his hand and lead him to our bedroom. The pain intensified as I watched her undress him, while he stood there with that foolish grin on his face. He was a large man with a muscular body, abs, and impressive size. I watched with jealousy, rage, and anger, but for some reason, I was also impressed by this man. Jessica behaved as if she were completely lost in the moment. She knelt before him, performing actions I had only ever imagined. To my disbelief, she did things for him that she had always refused to do for me. She had once told me that such actions were unacceptable and would never happen. But for this man, she did both in less than 10 minutes alone with him. My head felt like it was going to explode, and now I was dizzy with rage and hatred toward this predator. After my second bout of feeling sick, I watched and listened as they were together for the next hour. Obviously, I knew my marriage was over, and I shouldn't have let it bother me. But their post-conversation was the most painful part of the night. The man started the conversation as they lay together in each other's arms. "So, the little one is gone for a couple of nights. Good. You'll be mine for the next 2 days. I'm so happy you can stay the night, baby. You know, I've wanted to wake up next to you for so long. I love being with you. Yeah, and I'll love spending time with you all night while hubby works hard. What an idiot. Be nice, Mark. I love him, and he's a good man. Then why are you spending time with me? Mark, you're the most attractive man I know, and I love spending time with you. But we're both married, and we should just enjoy the time we can have together." "That makes sense. I enjoy spending time with you too, but what I really love is how you make me feel loved and valued. You give me more love and affection than my wife or any other woman I've been with. For me, this is more than just spending time together. I just love the way you make me feel, Jessica." That part truly hurt because the love he was talking about was supposed to be only for me. But now I realized that she had shared her love with another man. I kept listening and watching as they cuddled, kissed, and talked. "Does your husband satisfy you the way I do, Jessica? He's a wonderful partner, but no, he's not like you. You do things to me that I can't explain. You know you promised me tonight, and I intend to take it. You should be able to do it. You promised me tonight, and I intend to take it. You said you didn't give it to your husband or anyone else, right? No one has done that, Mark. But I'm nervous and scared that it will hurt. I'll be gentle, but I want to own this and have something your husband will never have. Mark, I've already let you do things with me that I'd never allow with my husband or anyone else. Isn't that enough?" I sat there feeling sad, hurt, and with a deep sense of loss. I turned off the computer. I couldn't listen to this betrayal in my home and bed any longer. After several hours of sleeplessness and struggling with my anger, I realized that my future would be filled with pain and revenge. When I returned home, everything seemed normal, full of love and respect, as if nothing had happened. Jessica greeted me with tight hugs and lots of kisses. She acted as usual, as if nothing had occurred while I was away. Instead of the love I had always felt for her, I now felt disgust and recoiled from her kiss. I put on an excellent performance and acted as normal as I possibly could. I gathered all the recordings and videos, made cloud backups for safekeeping, and created an encrypted file on my computer. Over the next 2 weeks, I made sure that every second Jessica spent with me was accounted for. I kept her busy and didn't give them the chance for quick meetups or late-night rendezvous. She even asked me when my next trip was planned. Clearly, they wanted me gone, and one morning, I overheard their conversation while she was driving to work. "When is your husband leaving town again?" "I'm not sure, but I'll find out. It should be soon, baby." Knowing this, I planned a one-night trip to ensure he would come over while I was away. The plan was taking shape. That same evening, while I was watching a movie on TV, my cheating wife asked, "Honey, when's your next trip?" I tried to suppress my anger and replied, "Sweetheart, are you trying to get rid of me? Do you have a secret partner who visits when I'm gone?" I said in a joking tone. She didn't miss a beat and showed no signs of guilt. "Don't be silly. I love it when you're home. I hope you don't have to leave, and I was just curious if your trips have been reduced." "No, sorry, darling. Work still requires me to travel. Yes, I have an evening meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, and I'll be back sometime on Wednesday," she said in a convincing tone. "I hate it when you leave. I wish you didn't have to travel so much. I miss you so much when you're not here." Then she came over, hugged me, kissed me deeply, and made me feel more love than I can describe. When I realized she was giving that same love to another man, I wanted to scream and throw her to the floor. But I kept my composure and continued acting normal, knowing that next week my plan would be put into action. On Tuesday, I packed for my trip, and Jessica and I had our final session of making love. After tonight, there would be no more us. She kissed me wonderfully before I left that night, and I wondered if she noticed the sadness in my eyes as I looked at her for the last time. I saw her expression change, and wasn't sure what she was thinking. Showtime. Instead of leaving town, I returned to my office and parked my car. Then I went back to my desk to work late, which wasn't unusual, and the few people who were there never questioned my presence. Around 7:30, the video camera turned on as Mark entered my house, and once again kissed my soon-to-be ex-wife tenderly. It was showtime. Turning off the video camera using the phone app, I placed my mobile phone in my desk drawer, as I didn't want the GPS tracker to follow me during the trip. Quietly, I left the office, walked to the trunk of my car, and took out a folding electric bicycle. The electric motor allowed speeds of up to 30 miles per hour in a range of up to 50 miles without recharging. I put on a black hoodie, looked around to ensure no one noticed, and started the 12-mile ride back to my house. My idea for the bike was stealth. It allowed me to return home quietly and unnoticed within 20 minutes. I parked the bike behind the house and entered through the sliding back door, which I had set up to remain unlocked. Once inside, I stood still to ensure I hadn't been detected and listened to the sounds coming from the bedroom. After confirming that they were about to do it and my arrival had gone unnoticed, I went to the closet where I had stored a short-barreled shotgun and an aluminum bat and brought them to the bedroom. I carefully placed the shotgun along the wall outside the bedroom, took the bat, and quietly opened the door to the candlelight room. Since they were making so much noise during their time together, they didn't hear a sound or notice a shadow as I crossed the short distance to the bed. My wife was lying on her back, wrapping her legs around his large body. I didn't hesitate and delivered a powerful blow to the side of his head. The dull sound of metal hitting flesh was drowned out only by the noise of the 250-pound man collapsing to the floor. As he went down, I grabbed the shotgun and turned on the light. That's when Jessica realized what was happening. Looking stunned and in shock, she screamed, "Oh God, no, please, no. This can't be happening. Why are you here? You're supposed to be out of town." "Well, crap. A better question is why you're spending time with another man in my bed. Now shut up and pay attention." The big guy was semi-conscious, now sitting against the wall, with blood trickling from a 6-inch wound caused by the metal bat. I watched him as he came to his senses and saw an angry man standing before him. "Damn, that hurts. Why did you do that, man? Are you kidding me? You're spending time with my wife in my bed, and you think I wouldn't react? What are you going to do?" he asked, clearly nervous, staring at the shotgun I had pointed at him. "Are you worried, big man? Are you afraid this toy will hurt you? I know you two have been spending time behind my back, and tonight is payback. I'm going to hurt you, Mark. Tonight, you pay." I taunted. I continued, "Everything you've been seeking will disappear, all for a little misunderstanding. I hope it was worth it, you idiot." Man, if you hurt me, you'll spend the rest of your life dealing with this. Screw that. We're all going to face consequences tonight. How does that sound, idiot? I wanted to instill fear. And of course I had no plans to kill anyone, but it was satisfying to see how terrified they were. I acted unhinged, scaring them both. Jessica was crying, curled up and trying to cover her body with a sheet. Please, don't do anything stupid. I love you, I really do. Put the shotgun down, and let's talk this out, she pleaded. With a stern expression, I pointed the shotgun at her. Shut up. This is happening because you decided to find someone outside our marriage. Whatever happens tonight is all you're doing. Look at your partner. He just lost control. I think you're just a little weak. They knew they were in trouble and realized they had to calm me down, or I'd hurt everyone. The custom rounds in the shotgun were made of 25% salt and 75% capsicum resin, the active ingredient in pepper spray. I wasn't going to kill anyone, but I wanted to cause enough pain and possibly damage his dignity to last a lifetime. I wasn't going to go to prison, and I wasn't killing anyone tonight. But since no one knew that, I wanted to scare them badly enough for those emotions to linger, and for them never to forget this night. After Mark recovered from the blow to his head, he got bold and decided to lunge at me and try to disarm me, which I had been expecting. As soon as he made his move, he exposed himself, and I fired the first round at him. The blast was loud, but his screams were even louder. A cloud of capsicum pepper filled the air around Mark and seeped into the wound, from which blood was flowing. He couldn't see or breathe without choking, and the pain was unlike anything he had ever experienced. I was stunned when I saw what the blast had done to him. Damn, that must hurt. A few minutes later, as he sat there writhing in pain and bleeding, I explained how things were going to work. I gave the big man a kick to get his attention, all the while staring at my soon-to-be ex-wife. Listen up, you two, my cheating wife. I'm leaving in a few minutes, and you're going to drive this man to the emergency room before he bleeds out. You're not going to call for help. You're going to take him to the hospital in your car. You won't tell anyone how this happened, or that I was involved in any way. In fact, you'll tell anyone who asks that I had no idea about your affair. If either of you mentions that I was involved or knew about your infidelity, the video, audio, and photos I've collected will go to the man's wife and the partners at the firm. Additionally, a link to a website I've created, containing over 2 hours of your activities together, will be sent to everyone you know. I don't care what lies you come up with for the police, but you will not mention my name, and will insist that I knew nothing about any of this. You're going to keep my soon-to-be ex-wife in her job. She's going to need that once the divorce is finalized. If you come after me, or if this partner refuses the divorce offer, it will all come out. At that point, it won't matter who gets hurt, because I will go all out and make sure everyone knows about this. You both hurt me, so now it's your turn to pay the price. Take him to the hospital before he bleeds out, and don't forget what I told you. I left the same way I came in, fixing the lock and closing the door. I placed the bat and shotgun into a bag and slung it over my shoulder. Quietly and discreetly, I made my way out of the neighborhood. On my bike ride back to the office, I discarded the bat and shotgun in different parts of the river. Then I removed the surgical gloves I had been wearing and disposed of them before returning. Once back at my office, I put the bike back into the car and was back at my desk by 9 p.m. I then left for my trip, saying goodbye to a few 8 staff members who were working late. As far as everyone knew, my car had never left the parking lot, and I had spent the entire evening at my desk. It would be their word against mine, with no evidence, if they ever accused me. By the time I returned home the next day, things had escalated dramatically. Mark underwent reconstructive surgery after the incident. Unfortunately for him, the proximity of the blast caused severe damage, resulting in the loss of both testicles and significant injury to his anatomy. Surgeons worked on reconstructing what remained, leaving him with less than 10 centimeters of heavily scarred tissue. Additionally, He had to shave his head to accommodate 18 stitches after sustaining a concussion from the impact. The story he told was that the last thing he remembered was going to his personal assistant's house with some papers, and then he woke up in the hospital. He told the police he didn't remember seeing anyone or being attacked. He kept his mouth shut, knowing I could destroy his life and career. Jessica was beside herself and didn't say a word about the incident. All she said was that she heard a gunshot, and when she went outside, she saw Mark lying there and drove him to the hospital because she thought there wasn't time to wait for an ambulance. Neither of them could explain why he was upset, and both stuck to their stories. But Mark's wife didn't believe him, which soon became a big problem for Mark. I spent the second half of the day removing the surveillance equipment, uploading everything to an encrypted cloud server, and disposing of the hardware. All the remaining evidence of my knowledge of their affair was now safely out of reach in the cloud. Jessica came home around 6 p.m. and found me in the living room with a bottle of my good whiskey in hand. I sat silently as she sat across from me on the couch. She looked broken and sad. I had never seen her like this, and for a brief moment, I felt sorry for her. With tears in her eyes, she finally broke down and tried to explain everything. "Johnny, I know what you saw was bad, but what you need to know is that I wasn't in love with him. I know how it looked and what I said, and it must have hurt, but you know me, and after being intimate, I need a connection. I said all of that with you in my heart. It was all for you, baby. Every time you left, I hated being alone, and Mark could keep me company. And yes, it became physical, but it was just that. You have to believe me." My mouth hung open in astonishment at the nonsensical excuse she gave. Apparently, she was spending time with him while thinking of me. So many questions and so little trust. "Jessica, I've listened to your explanation, but I can't get out of my head how you shared your affection with him. And while you say those words of love were meant for me, I can't help but believe they were meant for Mark. It's over, Jessica. 20 amazing years thrown away because of your boss and your actions. We'll both have to live with your choices for the rest of our lives. Thank you for the pain and suffering you've caused me," I said sarcastically. "What do we do now?" she asked, tears streaming down her face. "Well, you and I are done. I'll never understand how or why you did what you did to me. I'll have to live with it forever. I'll never be able to forgive what you've done. But I'll keep my promise and won't expose your actions. Sarah and your parents will never find out that they have someone unfaithful as a mother and daughter. I'll let you explain why we're getting divorced, but let me warn you, don't make me out to be the bad guy. If you do, it will end badly because I'll make sure everyone knows that you're nothing but a lying person. I'm putting the house up for sale, and in the meantime, you need to find somewhere else to stay. Since you're the one who ruined everything, you need to move out. I'm not asking. This is what you will do. Let me know where to send the divorce papers. Sign them, and don't fight the divorce, or it will get painful for you and your partner." Crying into her hands, she tried to speak. "He's not my boyfriend, and I don't love him. Can't we work this out? Can't we do something? I know it's too late after what I've done, but I can't live without you, and I'll do anything to make us work. I never wanted to lose you. Please, don't leave me." Jessica, if it had just been about the physical act, maybe there would have been a chance to rebuild through counseling or time apart. But it was over the moment I saw you let him do things with you that you said you'd never do for me. Yes, I heard you say it. I also heard you offering him things that were supposed to be ours alone. Those moments destroyed any chance of reconciliation. What truly ended my love for you was how you shared with him the intimacy and affection that were meant only for me. The words you said to him killed everything we ever had. I can't believe you not only gave him your trust, but also gave away the love and connection we shared. For that, I will never take you back or trust you again. No, I'll never forgive or forget your betrayal, and I'll never want to see or speak to you again. Once the divorce is finalized, you'll be out of my life forever. As for that man, if he does anything to provoke me, I'll ensure you both regret it. No warnings given. After hours of begging me to forgive her, she left the next morning and stayed with her mom and dad until the house was sold. Over the next week, the police questioned me and tried to get me to confess to being involved. I hired a lawyer, and we told them that unless they had evidence linking me to the incident, I wouldn't answer any more questions without a warrant. Since there was no evidence and I had an alibi, they left me alone. Ultimately, the incident was recorded as an accidental break-in and assault. Jessica and her family called and begged me to reconsider. They told me she loved me and couldn't live without me. She regretted everything. Please forgive her. Please work it out. Counseling. Blah, blah, blah. I stopped answering their calls and didn't open the door when they came by. I changed my phone number and cut off all communication with them. Yes, the loss devastated me. Every second of separation was painful, but the memory of her betrayal and how she shared her love with another man was something I couldn't accept. Now Jessica was a 42-year-old single mother living off her paycheck in a one-bedroom apartment. The comfortable life she had once enjoyed was gone. Her daughter and family figured everything out and were unhappy with Jessica and her choices. They blamed her for the failed marriage. Jessica was not alone, as Mark was more interested in saving his own marriage. Mark treated her poorly at work and blamed her for his physical and family problems. He could no longer work with her and reassigned her to an administrative area with the same pay. Her new job was tedious and boring, and she no longer held the prestigious position of working with one of the partners. Rumors spread that she had been one of Mark's former partners, and she was treated accordingly. Now, with a job she hated, no prospects for career advancement, no friends, no husband, and a family that blamed her for the divorce, she fell into depression. She cried every night alone, missing Johnny with every fiber of her being. Her heart ached almost constantly, and she couldn't stop thinking about her actions and her loss. Sarah tried to help her mom, but it seemed there was no way back, and she watched as Jessica lost weight. Jessica ate poorly and drank heavily every evening. She refused to take care of herself, saying that without Johnny, she no longer had a reason to care. When Sarah sought advice from her father, he sympathized with her situation but couldn't come to terms with the betrayal and never spoke to Jessica again. Stella really pulled everything together and turned Mark's life into a living hell. She made him move into one of the guest rooms, and he paid dearly for his actions. Stella eventually started dating several younger men and kept Mark around to pay all the bills. She agreed to stay by his side as a companion for corporate events or business meetings, but they lived separate lives. Mark would never have a relationship again, nor would he ever have someone who loved him. For the rest of his life, he would remember how and when everything in his life changed, all because of his desire to take another man's wife. He managed to keep his job, though it was much less satisfying than before. Unfortunately for him, he lost all sensation due to nerve damage. He also lost both of his testicles after the blast destroyed them that fateful night. His anger toward me was epic, and he wanted to hurt me in the worst way. But for months, nothing happened. Later that same year, I was out drinking with my coworkers when I was attacked and beaten outside the bar until my friends came out to help. The attackers fled before the police arrived, and I spent 2 days in the hospital with broken ribs and stitches. I believe they intended to kill me, and if it weren't for my friends, I think they might have succeeded. I knew it was revenge for Mark, and I wasn't surprised in the least. 6 weeks later, I was feeling much better and called Mark's office. "Mr. Diamond, please," I said to his secretary. "I'm sorry, he's in a meeting. May I take a message?" "Yes, please tell him to meet me at 1 p.m. this Friday at the French Bistro across the street." "I'm sorry, sir. I don't schedule meetings for Mr. Diamond." "Just give him the message. Write this down. Friday 1 p.m., French Bistro. Be there alone. Johnny, just pass it on, and he'll understand what it means. Thank you." Friday lunch. I was sitting at a table facing the door when the man walked in alone. He saw me and approached the table. "Sit down," I said. "What do you want?" he demanded. I ignored his outburst and said, "Thanks for coming today. Your people did a good job on me, but unfortunately for you, they didn't finish the job. Since you didn't listen to my warning about any revenge against me or my family, you forced me to take action." I handed him a folded piece of paper and said, "Here's the link to a website currently created just for you. Don't bother trying to take it down. It's hosted in Syria with 3 backup servers in different locations. It's untraceable. Let me put it this way. You're in trouble and your reputation belongs to me. This is the address to the website. Check it out when you get back to your office. I've erased Jessica's face because she doesn't need to pay for your actions. She's already suffered enough. Now, after you view the website, I want you to think about how your firm will react to your actions, how your wife will respond, what your kids, friends, and relatives will feel after watching a 2-hour video. I plan to upload it to several popular sites along with your name, profession, address, and phone number." His anger was growing. "Listen, you've already ruined my life, and I'll never be the same again emotionally. Just stop this, or I promise you'll disappear. That's why we're here today, Mr. Diamond. I want to end this. You took away the most valuable thing in my life, my wife. You destroy our 20-year marriage, and I can't let you walk away free. I'm risking getting hurt, as you put it, but I'm determined to get revenge for the beating your men gave me." "All right, calm down. What do you want?" "2 things, non-negotiable. You will stop any revenge against me or anyone I know, including Jessica. You will transfer $1 million to this account by the end of the day Friday. If the funds aren't in the account by 9 p.m. Friday, I will take action. I know what you're worth, and I also know what I could get in a lawsuit, so this small amount I'm asking for should be considered a gift. If I agree, how do I know you won't destroy me anyway? I'm a man of my word, and you'll have to trust me. Let me put it this way. If you don't do this, there is a 100% chance that the website will become public by Saturday morning. You've been one of the most arrogant people I've ever met, and I hope you suffer for the rest of your life for what you did to my happy marriage." The money was transferred. We sold the house and divided the assets. Jessica had enough funds to live comfortably if she continued working or found another partner. Mark kept her employed as part of our deal, but they were never close again. Jessica never remarried, rarely dated, and lived with the pain she had caused both men. She lost her marriage and the love of the man she wanted to spend her life with, and found herself alone and depressed. She passed away before her 50th birthday, a broken, sad woman. Only her daughter, Sarah, attended the ceremony to scatter her ashes. Johnny continued to work for a few more years before retiring to a small seaside town. He married a kind woman who satisfied him emotionally and physically, but he could never replace the special love only Jessica could give him. He never spoke to her again and only heard about her from Sarah, whom he adored. They talked every day and remained close, but Sarah rarely mentioned her mother, knowing her father still loved her and didn't want to reopen old wounds. Jessica's death saddened him, but also brought final relief from the deep sorrow he had kept locked away. Thanks to everyone who took the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.